This title is narrated with virtual voice, computer-generated narration for audiobooks. The Art of Compression by Thomas Juth. Introduction, Passion for Compression. Why are compressors so fascinating, and why do so many people find them a mystery? I often get the feeling that people struggle when trying to understand compression, and some engineers tend to make it more complicated than it really is. Also, with all the plugins available today and the overwhelming amount of choice, it can be even more confusing. Which compressor should you pick, and which one is the best for what you are trying to achieve? However, after reading this book, all of this will hopefully be a lot clearer. Compressors all basically do the same thing. They reduce the dynamic range by ducking the signal whenever the sound exceeds a set threshold. Yet they are all so different. There are compressors that are used purely for controlling the volume of a signal without affecting the character of the sound in any way, and compressors that are just as much color boxes as level controllers. There are even compressors that I would use only for their character and color without actually using them as compressors. One example of that is the MHB green compressor by Kazrog, which adds a nice tube sheen to sounds even without compressing the signal. My passion for compression started at the age of 7 after hearing the Beatles come together. I was blown away by the compressed sound of Ringo's drums, the way they were pumping and breathing, and how they were full of character. A few years later, when my brother Frederick and I started making our own recordings, we spent hours trying to replicate those drum sounds, especially Ringo's drum sounds from the later Beatles albums. Later, I figured out that a large part of the sound, apart from his playing, came from one specific compressor they used at Abbey Road Studios, the Fairchild 660. No other compressor can replace a Fairchild 660, and only a Fairchild sounds like a Fairchild. Beyond just compressing the signal, it does something special to the attack of the drums, and it seems to make cymbals sound larger than life. As you'll realize in this short book, learning the art of compression is not just about being able to operate the controls of a compressor, but also about learning and understanding the character and color of different compressors. I always look at a collection of compressors, or other pieces of gear, as a color palette, where each compressor, or EQ, represents a specific color. One key takeaway from all of my books and videos is this. Remember, music and mixing are all about emotion, and the way we compress or process sounds must always serve this. In this ebook, as well as the entire series, I assume you, the reader, already understand the basics of compression, so I won't cover them here. Instead, I want to focus on how to pick the right compressors for the right applications and how to get the most out of a compressor. That said, I will also discuss some more basic concepts whenever necessary, for example, in Chapter 3, Attack and Release Times, how they really affect your mix. I'll also cover things to avoid when working with compressors and share techniques that can positively impact your future mixes. Chapter 1. Before you compress, understanding gain structure. Before we dive into compression, there's one crucial step that sits right at the heart of both mixing and compression: gain structure. It's the foundation that makes everything that follows work better, from how your compressors behave to how clear and open your entire mix feels. Without it, even the best compressor settings can only do so much. How a lunch break taught me gain structure. Before I ever mixed a record properly, I stumbled across one of the biggest lessons, almost by accident. While working for Martin Tariff at Kensington Studios, I was helping him with some recording one day. After tracking, Martin sat down at the Trident console and started doing one of his rough mixes. This was before I became a mix engineer, so I was mostly watching and learning. Halfway through, he stopped, looking puzzled. "It's cloudy," he said. "Something's not sitting right." Then he stood up, smiled, and said,
Para seguir escuchando este audiolibro gratuitamente, haz clic en el enlace de la descripción y podrás escucharlo completo sin coste gracias a la prueba de 30 días de Audible.